talking on the element of literature. Now, the elements of literature are those constituents of literature. They are those things that they are techniques that are employed by writers in order to make literary work interesting to the reader. Number one is the plot. Plot is an element of literature that you cannot do without. When a work of art, the storytelling is done, or a work of art is written, when the reader reads this particular work, they come to know about the storyline, and the ability to arrange it in an orderly manner is what we call what? Plot. Now, a plot is a sequential arrangement of an event in a orderly manner. A plot can have a beginning, middle, and end. That's why we have different types of plot. We have a simple plot, we have complex plots. The next one is the scene. Scene is an element of literature. Because before a writer picks up his or her pen to write a work of art or to write any literary work, there is something that he wants to address. And through that, he will be able to point out those things and curate his or her story around this plot. Now, that is why we say that theme is the central idea of the writer. It is the main point. It is the major thing that prompts the writer to write. The next one is setting. When we talk about setting, we can say that setting is a geographical or the background of a writing. Once a work of art is written, it has a particular setting, it has a time, it has a background, which that story revolves around. So that is what we call what? Setting. Setting is the background of the what? The story. We have characters. Character is the people in the story. Characters are people in the story. Before a work of art is written, there are people that will tell the story. There are people that will act out the story as it is written. For example, we have different types of characters. We have what we call dynamic characters. From the word dynamic, it means that these characters changes in the course of the play. For example, if you see a character who enjoys doing evil to other characters, maybe before the end of the play or at the middle of the play or the story, you see that character changing from being bad to good. Then we have what we call the static character. From the word static, the character does not change in the course of the play or the story. If the character is good or the character is bad from the beginning of the story, he or she maintains what he used to be. The next one we have the protagonist. Who is a protagonist? The protagonist is the main character. He's the hero. The person which the story is centered around. The story that is being told is centered around this protagonist. We have the antagonist. The antagonist is the one who opposes the major character, the main character. He opposes the main character. He ensures that the character loses its personality. Through the protagonist, through the antagonist, the protagonist falls and disappoints in some areas of the story. The next one we have is what we call the minor characters. The minor characters are those characters who play major roles, like the passerbys, like the crowd in a crowd scene. So they are minor what characters. They play little or no role. We have the major character. They are those people that play major role in a what, a dramatic or a poetry in any of these work, either poetry, either prose or dramatic work. We have what we call the villain. Villains are those characters who enjoy doing evil to other characters. Villains are those characters who delight doing evil to other characters. For example, in Bernard Shaw's Hands on the Man, we can see Luca as a major character, as a villain in the story, because he enjoyed doing evil to other world characters. We have what we call the clown. The clowns are those characters who induces laughter. This is their role. The only role they play is just to do what? Induce what? Laughter. Then the next one is diction. When we talk about diction, we are talking about the language of the writer. Whether the writer wants to use language like sing-song like language. For example, when you read some words, so some of literary words, you see that some writers use ambiguous words. Sometimes they use simple languages. Some writers write for average readers, and some write for different audience. So the diction is the language of the word writer. The writer might choose to write in his native language. The writer might equally choose to use vernacular or some words that he or she wants to use to portray a message. That is what we call the diction. The next one is point of view. When we talk about point of view is usually employed in prose work like novels, novelettes, and the rest of them. So what is this point of view? The point of view indicates the angle in which the writer tells the story. Did the writer want to write as a single person, like an invisible character that is telling the story? That is why you see some writers employing autobiography, that is the first person narrative technique, where he or she makes use of I. Now, when a writer uses I, that aspect of this writing is what we call the autobiography narrative techniques. Here, the writer tells the story from one angle. That's why sometimes when you read a work of art, you'll be hearing or you'll be seeing, I went to the market, and you'll be wondering all these storylines. You just be wondering, who is this I? Like when you read Chimamanda's Purple Hibiscus, he employed the use of autobiography narrative technique. Sometimes when you look at this writer, you see that Kamli is the I in the story, that is the narrator. But when you read from the chapter 1 to the chapter 8, you find out that she is invisible. She's an invisible narrator. The next one we have the omniscient narrative technique. In omniscient narrative technique, the writer is seen as all-knowing. He knows everything that happens in the life of other characters. There, the writer makes use of the third person pronoun, where you have she, he, and it, and the rest of it. So, omniscient narrative method is a system whereby the writer is all-knowing. He ravels through the minds of the other character. We have epistolary, like Marabas so long the letter, where he employed epistolary method. That's point of view, using epistolary point of view, where he writes his story in form of a letter. Then we have flashback narrative techniques, whereby the writer uses try to recall an incident in the past in order to tell the world the story. So in our next class, we talk more about the elements of drama.